Hello, this is Valerie Moore from the Frederian Gazette. Thank you for joining us. Whether you're on your way home from the office, running an errand, or just need a friendly voice to listen to, we're happy you chose to listen to our reenactment of the controversial book, Say I Slew Them Not, written by Kingsley Montevello, edited by Alexander Phillips, and narrated by Pepper Holloway. If you've enjoyed our program so far and want to support independent journalism, please donate to our Ko-Fi at www.ko-fi.com/The Frederian Gazette. Content warnings for this episode include references to colonial violence, colonialism, torture, death, war, imperialism, and empire building. This program has been sponsored by the Wistful Air Fountain Pen. Utilizing the latest innovations in cap design, our click and seal mechanism in our pens prevents the ink from drying out for 12 months. All our meticulously designed pens come in a wide variety of colors, are accented with gold trims, and feature 14-karat gold nibs. Buy a Wistful Air pen today and write with the fluidity and grace of the wind. We now pass the mic to Pepper Holloway, who will be reading Episode 8, General Bernadette, the butchered Griffin's tombstone vandalized 3 days before 20th anniversary of her death. The Butcher of Alcahoon, a retrospective by Alexander Phillips. Heva's history contains a plethora of colonial officers whose records are drenched in the blood of hundreds of thousands of murdered colonized people. But May 2nd will be the 20th anniversary of the death of maybe their most notorious officer, Bernadette Griffin, the Butcher of Alcahoon. While Heva will most assuredly hold a large ceremony to honor her services to the Empire, it is imperative to question whether the death of a mass murderer is worthy of commemoration. Bernadette Griffin was born in Othal, the former colonial capital of Kilbraga, to a watchmaker she never met and a mother who worked various odd jobs to make ends meet. Griffin was 10 years old when she was swept into the ranks of the Hevian Imperial Army. She served as a drummer during the First Shadow War and worked her way to the rank of captain before she was sent to Alcahoon, where she forged her ruthless reputation. While in Alcahoon, she implemented a policy of seek and destroy. This consisted of hunting the troublesome rebels to the ends of Telemaker, while simultaneously razing friendly villages to the ground and murdering anyone who supported the rebels. The level of support and the flimsy nature of the evidence of said support did not matter to Griffin. She's also been praised by the Cross-Knit Church for her role in sending children from Heva's many colonies to Cross-Knit re-education camps. One of Griffin's most famous acts within Alcahoon was the slaughter of the Holy Patini tribe and the arrest and attempted hanging of 16-year-old Adashir. It has been argued that her actions sparked the Alki rebellion that eventually liberated and created today's Alcahoon republics. The ILA's bombing of the archives forced the Smith administration to reassign Griffin from Kilbraga to Berkassa. When asked by the Frederian Gazette's own president, Quentin Jacobi, how she planned to defeat the ILA, Griffin replied, brutally. Griffin is guilty of many crimes, but lying isn't one of them. She deputized the worst of Berkassa's police officers and charged them to kill everyone associated with the ILA. After the ILA's failed assassination attempt, Griffin arrested 3 random Ikatel, tortured them for several days, and executed them without trial. She displayed the mutilated bodies on Lamas Street in the poorest district of Berkassa, home to Minotaurs, Ikatel, and various Endariums. An uproar followed, and Griffin was reassigned to Kilbraga, where she was able to implement her search and destroy tactics without any interference. Many Kilbragan cities and large swaths of farmland still haven't fully recovered from her attempts to destroy the IFM. Griffin spent most of her life jumping from Kilbraga to Alcahoon and back to Kilbraga again, leaving a trail of bloody and mutilated corpses, but never achieving peace. While Griffin's tactics are still taught in most military academies, Griffin never managed to defeat a rebellion. She made her career suppressing Alcahoon dreams of independence, only to provide the spark that unified the various Alki nationalist groups and fractured her own army. When Griffin returned to Alcahoon in the 1840s, It was to suppress a coup led by several officers she knew personally, so peace talks to be arranged between Hiva and the nascent Autochthone republics. Her cruelty is infamous in Tobrada, but she never severely hindered the IFM, nor did she personally decapitate Marcus, the IFM's leader, as she once vowed. Her biggest contribution to counterinsurgency was prolonging a conflict until the untenable nature of guerrilla war caused Hiva's own political and military apparatuses to collapse on themselves, inadvertently liberating the very people she was charged of oppressing. The Troy administration briefly entrusted Griffin with breaking up the former terrorist group, the Real Children of Hiva, also known as the RCH. The RCH consisted of colonial officers and soldiers, some of whom were involved in the Autochthone coup and were dedicated to quote-unquote preserving the Hevian Empire. However, Griffin's many wounds forced her into early retirement with full honors in 1849, and the Troy administration tacitly accepted the RCH as a permanent fixture of Hevian life and politics. 5 years later, Griffin's body was retrieved from Victory Fountain, 3 bullets lodged in her chest, and a final bullet embedded in her forehead. She was buried in Bearcastle Cemetery with full military honors, and several presidential candidates read a eulogy as her coffin was laid to rest. To this day, no one knows the identity of her murderer, although several groups have claimed credit, including the ILA and IFN. Hiva's glorification of its colonial officers has come under intense scrutiny as Kingsley uses Hevian cruelty to justify his own questionable actions during the Itkatel-Hevian War and the Second Shadow War. The defense, and several activists, are calling into question why Kingsley, the ILA, and IFM are being held accountable for employing tactics originated by Griffin and several of Hiva's most decorated colonial officers. The International Court refuses to comment on the likelihood it will hear any of the cases brought against Hiva and its military, despite the growing call for equal accountability and justice. As Kingsley's trial drags on, allowing the defense to uncover more of Griffin's war crimes, and Hiva continues to honor its colonial past despite the world's growing disillusionment with all things Hevian, Griffin's greatest legacy may be the unraveling of the narrative of the quote-unquote honorable and beneficial empire. You just heard General Bernadette, the butcher Griffin's tombstone, vandalized 3 days before 20th anniversary of her death from Say I Slew Them Not, by Kingsley Montevello. Tonight's episode was read by Pepper Holloway and was sponsored by the Wistful Air Pen. Astound all your friends with your light and graceful penmanship with a Wistful Air Pen. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Fridarian Gazette and go to our website www.thefridariangazette.com for episode extras. Join us next Wednesday at 5 p.m. for episode 9, opening statements read at Sebastian Wallace's trial for war crimes committed while he served on Kingsley's cabinet.